up, y'all? My name's Jess. I'm an EF Ultimate Break brand ambassador, and today I'm reviewing their Bali tropical escape trip. So let's get into it. Cue intro. So if you're unfamiliar, EF Ultimate Break is a group travel company for people ages 18 all the way to 35, and they do all the heavy lifting for you. So every trip price includes flights, if you opt in, accommodations, transportation to and from cities, tickets to iconic attractions, a full-time tour director, breakfast every day, and so much more. I personally have been to 16 countries with the company, which I can't even believe that I'm saying that out loud. I started traveling with them in 2019, which is when I became an ambassador at the start of their program. And with that, if you are looking to book your first EF Ultimate Break trip, do so through the link in the description. It will give you an additional $100 off of your first trip on top of any sale prices. So just wanted to throw that in before we got into the video, but now let's get into the details. Now this trip is an 11-day trip. You hit one country and 3 cities over the course of that time, and it is a moderate activity level trip. So what that means is you don't need to necessarily train yourself for this trip, but it is a little bit more adventurous than some of the other relaxing trips that they have, and it is phenomenal. Spoiler alert. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more about the day-to-day on the trip, give you some insight into what I got up to while I was there. So the first 2 days of tour are actually travel days. I got up incredibly early the first day, and I had a flight from Pittsburgh to JFK, which is very short. Then I had a layover and I went from JFK to Doha and then finally Doha to Bali. I got into Bali at about 10:40 at night, so I immediately was picked up at the airport, taken to our first accommodation, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second, and then I went to sleep to get ready for my first full day, which technically started on day 3. For my trip, personally, we stayed at the Tajili Hotel in Seminyak. This was probably my favorite hotel of the entire tour. It was absolutely stunning. The environment was really equipped for meeting new people and socializing. They had an amazing pool, a great bar, and the breakfast was chef's kiss. The rooms were super clean. The beds were really comfy. The air condition was phenomenal. Everything about that hotel was so incredible. Could not recommend it enough. So I laid down for a great night's sleep and woke up on day 3 for a very, very, very jam-packed day. Now waking up on day 3 after a really good night's sleep because I was exhausted from traveling, me and a few other fellow travelers decided to go and do some activities in the morning prior to the welcome lunch. We opted to go to Bodywork Spa in Seminyak. It was the most aesthetically pleasing, gorgeous luxury spa. I opted to get a rose gua sha facial, which, fun fact, it was actually my first facial ever. I can't believe that, but it was. And it was just the most lush experience. The staff was super kind. Like I said, the place was beautiful. The service was phenomenal. It was just such a great way to start a trip like that, and it was a good way to kick it off with some relaxation before getting into the afternoon activities. After that, we went to a welcome lunch where we got to meet all of our fellow travelers that were going to be on our tour. The exciting part was there were only 19 of us, so we really got to know each other incredibly well. And then after the welcome tour, we started to visit some temples, the first being the Tanalot Temple, which was absolutely jaw-dropping. It was overlooking the water. It was just beautiful. There's no other way to describe it. After a full day of exploring, we went back to the hotel to start getting ready for our first dinner. Now, a select group of us opted to go to dinner together to get to know each other a little bit more, and we opted to go to Chandy. Chandy is a semi-fine dining Pan-Asian restaurant in Seminyak. I would absolutely recommend, and we actually got a private dining experience, which was vastly different than what I was expecting, but such a sweet surprise. The food was mouth-watering. The staff was super gracious and kind to accommodate us kind of last minute, and I just could not say enough great things about it. On day 4, our second full day in Bali, a lot of our group opted to go on a day trip to a nearby island called Nusa Penida. Now, I'm going to be totally real with y'all. I like to keep things realistic, authentic, and I am always going to be transparent with you. Nusa Penida was stunning. The views are jaw-dropping and unlike anything I've ever seen. However, I personally went during January, which is their rainy season, and while it barely rained the entire time that we were there, it is one of their hottest times of year right now. So the scorching heat and being outside all day was a little bit unbearable. I did carry a fan with me. I obviously had water, but it was very, very, very difficult to kind of enjoy walking to these different sites with how hot it was. That being said, if you are going during a time of year where it's a little bit cooler in climate, I would definitely recommend the day trip to Nusa Penida. I love that I went and saw it. I don't know that I would go back and do it again. Also, it took a little bit long to get there, so it was about a 45-minute ride to the port, about an hour tiny boat ride to the island, and then approximately 45 more minutes in like a taxi-like car getting us to the lookout location. So again, really thought it was stunning and beautiful, but I don't know if I would go back and do that same experience. After we came home from Nusa Penida, again, another group of us decided to go out to dinner to a steakhouse. We went to Boy and Cow. The steak was so good. I cannot accurately describe just how delicious it was. If I could recommend one place to eat in Seminyak, that is where I would go. It is stunning. First of all, it's like an industrial steakhouse, but they have such great food options at an affordable price. Absolutely insane. You guys should definitely check it out if you're headed there. On day 5 of the tour, we went to a Bali rural family compound to start off the morning, where a local family provided us with some traditional Balinese snacks and coffee to start off our day. From there, we got to go to the rice fields and run around with some cattle, plant some rice, and then we took a traditional Balinese cooking class. Now, this was such a cool and unique experience, and I'm so happy that I did it. The food was definitely different from what I'm used to, but it does obviously have an Asian flair, so it was really good. And then after that, we had the opportunity to make an offering and take that to the temple, which was so special. Then we started to head toward Ubud, which was the second city on our tour. When we got to Ubud, we went straight to the monkey forest, which is home to nearly 1,300 different monkeys. And this was so cool because it is a sanctuary and the monkeys kind of come and go throughout as they please, although they tend to stick together because that's what their kind do. But it was so cool to just kind of see them in their element, watch them interact with one another. We even got to see some mamas and babies during our time there. So that was really special. I was a little bit disappointed that the monkey selfies were closed, but that's totally okay because we got plenty of interaction with the monkeys as is. After our trip to the monkey forest, we went and checked into hotel number 2 of the trip in Ubud, which was the Sens Hotel and Spa. Now, this hotel was a little bit more modern than the first one. The other one kind of had like a tropical flair, but this one was very modern and luxurious. They actually had an amazing spa on site in the hotel, so definitely would recommend checking that out if you're going to stay there. But the hotel was beautiful and they had a great pool area downstairs. So honestly, after checking in, I was just ready to relax after a busy morning, and we spent the rest of the night at the hotel pool getting some drinks. We ordered some takeout Italian food and just really enjoyed our time. On day 6, I got up and decided that I was going to go to Swing Heaven, which is an iconic photo location in Ubud. They have a plethora of swings and Instagrammable nests, and if you're looking to get the shot, that's exactly where you need to go. Their workers are like these traveling Instagram husbands, and they just simply know how to get the most jaw-dropping, beautiful photos and videos. It truthfully was such an amazing experience. There were a couple of us that went, and I want to say it was about $54 US per person. And that included transportation to and from the location from your hotel, a dress rental for the day, and all of your photos and videos. You could have opted to do lunch there as well, but we had other plans in the afternoon, so we just stuck with the photo and video package. If you're planning a trip and you want those gorgeous photos, that's exactly where you need to go. After Swing Heaven, we went and met up with the rest of the group for an included lunch, and the lunch was absolutely delicious. I had a tomato soup, I had chicken and rice, and we got this delicious ice cream crepe for dessert. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then the rest of the group went on to do some temples and some rice terrace visits. But honestly, this was another day where the heat was just beating down on me. And unless I was in the water or in and out of air condition, it was a little bit unbearable. So I opted to go back to the hotel, stick my feet in the pool, and just kind of enjoy my afternoon before getting into the nighttime activities. On this night, we went to Merlin's Magic, which is an absolutely amazing restaurant, and they have this thing where you can actually opt for tarot cards to choose your meal for you. It was the coolest experience, very unique, and I'm somebody that sometimes is a little bit picky about food, but I let them just do their thing. The cards spoke for themselves. I had the Caesar salad, a delightful salmon dish, and then this chocolate mousse cake for dessert. It was phenomenal. And I also allowed their alchemist to create a cocktail for me based on my personality and preferences. So that was super fun. They called my drink the Jess, which is obviously my name, but it was delicious. And it was this like smoky whiskey drink. Loved it. Day 7 was my absolute hands down favorite day of tour. And it's kind of because we went a little bit off the itinerary and did our own thing. So on the EF Ultimate Break itinerary, there is a canyon tubing excursion that's included. Full transparency, I have quite a few friends that did it before. They said it was extremely rough and some of them didn't really like it. So instead, I opted to do something that I knew I was gonna absolutely love and enjoy for the entirety of the day. I started off the morning with some of my fellow traveling pals and we went to Kreta Ubud. Kreta is a luxury day club that overlooks the rice fields, and when I tell you, this place was just a 1,000 out of 10 for me. The vibes were there, the views were immaculate, the food was delicious, the cocktails mouth-watering, and the staff kind, generous, gracious. Just, I can't say enough good things about this experience. So we made reservations ahead of time and we booked a day bed. So you can choose from terrace beds, terrace cabanas, day beds. There are a multitude of different reservation options. We just wanted to be right by the pool and right with the view. So we opted for a day bed. Now that is approximately $56 per person if you opt to share it with 4 people, but I did it with one other friend, so we spent about $111 per person. Again, it's a little bit more affordable if you do share with 4 people, and that money goes toward your food and drinks for the day. So every reservation is about 5 hours, and we just had the best time. We went early in the morning, so there was legitimately nobody there when we got there, so we had the place to ourselves for like at least 2 hours. And then as the day goes on, obviously it gets increasingly more busy and more people start coming. The DJ set comes on later. So if you're looking to socialize a little bit more, definitely go the later reservation route. But if you want some time to yourself to actually relax, I highly, highly, highly recommend booking for the morning. Later that afternoon, my favorite activity of the entire trip, we went ATVing with Allison Adventures. Now this is a 3-hour ATV tour. We booked it through Airbnb Experiences. And when I tell you, this was the most fun I ever had. So when we got there, we went through like a little bit of a briefing. We got our boots, we got all suited up, turned around, and it was torrential downpouring. When I tell you, it had not rained at all this entire trip up until we were about to go on this amazing ATV adventure. It was pouring down rain. And I thought to myself, this sucks. Like, this is horrible. Like, why now? But they gave us ponchos. I sucked it up. And I'm so glad I didn't let the rain ruin the experience. If anything, it added to it because it was, like I said, scorching while we were there. And so the rain honestly was really cooling and great. and I am so glad that it rained during that experience. But we got to rip through the jungle. We went through rivers and mud pits and adventure courses, and it was just so much freaking fun. And then later we went back to the hotel, got showers, and got ready to go to dinner at Batu Bara, which was another steakhouse. So good. They have premium cuts of meat that are simply just from Indonesia. Highly recommend trying those out. They were extravagant. On day 8, we opted to start the day by going to the market to see if we could find any souvenirs to bring home from our travels. And then after getting a coffee and exploring around a little bit, then we started to head toward Nusa Dua, which was our third and final stop of the EF Ultimate Break tour. On the way, we stopped at a local jeweler to see kind of how their jewelry was made, and then we had the opportunity to purchase some high quality items. It was absolutely great to kind of see them literally working on the jewelry right in front of us, bending the metals, getting it together. It was just so interesting, unique, and cool. And I highly recommend taking home a piece of jewelry if that is within your budget, because it's such an authentic and neat kind of souvenir to take home. Then we checked into our third and final hotel of the tour, which was the Tijili Benoa. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, this was my least favorite hotel of the entire tour. Not that it was particularly bad, I just felt like the rooms were clean with the exception of things like the curtains or the desks in there were like a little bit dirty, and then the staff kind of just really wasn't on their game. A lot of our key cards stopped working multiple times a day. They were late to check us in by quite a little bit of time. So it wasn't my absolute favorite hotel, but I will say we did have a lot of space both in our bathroom and our room. There were multiple mirrors so that me and my roommate could get ready simultaneously without, getting in each other's way or anything like that. So there were definite perks. They had a great rooftop pool that overlooked the beach, and that's another perk. It was like right on the water. So you definitely can't beat that. Everything has pros and cons, but again, I like to be totally honest with y'all. After we freshened up, we got ready to head over to our dinner reservation at Rock Bar. This is a luxury restaurant. It is down on a cliffside overlooking the ocean, and it is absolutely stunning. So when we actually got to the property, we had to take a gondola down to the water, walk through caves and these little nests before arriving at our table, which was consequently by a DJ booth. And I have to say, he was playing absolutely fire music. The food here was delicious. The cocktails were super unique and unlike anything I had seen on any other menu, and the vibes were just there. So if you're looking for a great dinner spot in Nusa Dua, I highly recommend this restaurant. It is one of the most popular sunset locations to date in the area. Now on day 9, we woke up and immediately went to our reservation at The Edge, which is a luxury day club on this stunning resort right outside of Nusa Dua. When we woke up, it was absolutely pouring down rain, but that's okay. I'm never gonna let rain get me down. So we headed over to the day club, and the resort was actually nice enough to put us up in the restaurant for some great food and drinks while we waited out the rain. I will say, it did rain throughout our entire reservation, which kind of sucked, but the staff was nice enough to allow us to stay as long as we wanted. So we opted to spend the remainder of the afternoon there. Once the sun started peeking out, we got to swim, just really enjoy and relax. It was absolutely amazing. If you're looking for a day of absolute relaxation, 180 Day Club at The Edge is the absolute place to go. Days 10 and 11, I'm meshing them together, and this is why, because it was our last full day in Bali, and it kind of flew into day 11 where we got ready to go home. On day 10, I woke up and went over to the Conrad Hotel for an amazing lunch with some of my friends that I met on tour. It was absolutely delicious. We walked through the property and just really got to take it all in. My favorite part about these trips is the friends that I meet and the memories that I get to take with me. And, saying goodbye always sucks, but I don't ever really feel like it's a goodbye. I'm a very big advocate for I'll see you later and we will travel together again. A little later on the afternoon, I opted to go to Bali Collections, which is an open air outdoor mall, to get some souvenirs for my friends, family, and myself before heading back to the hotel and packing to go home. We can all agree that the worst part of coming home from a trip is packing and the travel time. It's just absolutely the worst. So I went back to the hotel, I packed up my things, and I said I'll see you later to some of my favorite people people that I met, and then it was time to go to the airport. Boo. Now, I had an extremely long trek home, so we got to the airport around 8:30 p.m. and my first flight out was at 12:30 a.m. I went from Bali to Doha, Doha to Boston, Boston to Pittsburgh. So it took me well over 24 hours to get home, but that's okay because the travel time was absolutely worth it, and I can promise you I will be back in Bali sometime soon. That's it for the day-to-day recaps, but I did actually go on Instagram and ask if anyone had any questions about this tour, so we're gonna answer some of those right now. Number one, what was the weather like this time of year? Now, as I said earlier in the video, this is technically considered their rainy season, and so we thought it was going to rain the entire time that we were there, but we were actually super fortunate and it only rained for a couple hours during the entire duration of our 11-day trip. So that was phenomenal. Now, I will say it is super hot this time of year, so if you are somebody that is really sensitive to heat or humidity, I would probably recommend going during a different time of year, not right now, maybe even during peak season. I know it's going to be a lot busier, but the temperature is a lot cooler, so think about that. But if you aren't somebody that's super sensitive to the heat or humidity, this is the perfect time to go because there's going to be a lot less crowds and you'll have kind of more space to move around. Question number 2, top 4 things that you did while you were there. Now, I've kind of already explained these throughout my day-to-day videos, so I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. These are in no particular order. Number 1 is going to be Bodywork Spa in Seminyak. Number 2 is Swing Heaven in Ubud. Number 3 is Kreta Ubud. And number 4 is ATVing with Allison Adventures. Number 3, this will be my first EF trip and I'm going solo. Any tips? First of all, congratulations because you are absolutely about to change the entire trajectory of your life. And no, I am not exaggerating. EF Ultimate Break has truly just enriched my life beyond anything else in this entire world. So I am so excited for you, friend. Since you are a first-time traveler, I know I noted this in the beginning of the video, but I'm going to reiterate. Book through the link in my description box. That will give you an additional $100 off of your first trip on top of sale prices. So that is a great way to get a good bang for your buck. On top of that, I have to say, go into each trip with an open mind, be yourself, and you will find your people. Your first trip is going to be a little bit intimidating. That's normal, especially if you're going by yourself, but pushing yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone and making new lifelong friends is the absolute perk of traveling with EF. I met so many friends on my first solo EF trip, which was all the way back in 2019, and I loved it so much that I have been to, again, 16 countries with the company now, and my friends that I met on my first EF tour have been on multiple other trips with me since, so it is a really great way to make lifelong friends and memories that will last forever. Question number 4, what are some things that you are glad you brought with you and what are some things that you wish you didn't bring? Let's talk about what I wish I didn't bring first because the list is very, very short and it's truly one item: heels. So I am somebody that always says leave your heels at home. So why I thought that this trip was going to be any different than my other, 16 countries with EF is beyond me. But I did not wear heels, not one time. I had cute sandals. I opted for those every single day. So don't be me and leave your heels at home. You will not need them. And more often than not, if you're going to put them on, you're going to twist your ankle. Just don't do that. Now for what I am absolutely glad that I brought with me. Number 1 is sunscreen. I do not care how easily you tan. I promise you will need sunscreen. The sun over there is no joke, and you do not want to be burnt for the duration of your trip because you're going to be outside every single day. Fun fact, it is way more expensive to purchase sunscreen in Bali than if you just put it in your checked bag. Number 2 is definitely bug wipes. So I am somebody that's super susceptible to mosquito bites, and if that sounds like you, then definitely invest in some bug wipes. I got mine on Amazon. They are the off-brand, but you can also get them in Target. I just don't have a Target by me, but I definitely recommend packing those. They were a lifesaver, and honestly, I like the wipes a lot better because it didn't leave that weird, gross, sticky, oily residue that typical bug sprays leave. Number 3, a portable fan. When I tell you it was scorching hot some days, you will absolutely need some sort of relief. So I recommend taking a portable fan because it's going to be a great way to just get that airflow in when you need it. You're going to be outside for long bursts of time. Sometimes you're eating outside. So it's really just a great way to get some rapid relief. Highly recommend that. Number 4 is a surge protector. So one of the things that I wasn't really aware of until right before leaving is that Southeast Asia is known for these power surges. And if your electronics are plugged into the outlets and not protected with a surge protector, sometimes they can short out your entire phone, camera, laptop. You just want to avoid that. So take a surge protector with you and you will have no problems. Last but not least, number 5, can you give us some general tips for traveling to Bali? Absolutely. So Bali was stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. 10 out of 10 will return again. When I tell you the views were unreal, it was otherworldly. And I can't accurately describe just how jaw-droppingly stunning everything was. That being said, there are some things and hot takes that you need to know, so let's get into those really quick. First and foremost, you cannot drink the tap water, and in fact, it's recommended that you don't even brush your teeth with the tap water because you can easily get sick. So that is something that you do have to get used to. Each of the hotels that we stayed in actually provided me and my roommate with 1 bottle of water each per day, and they restocked them, like I said, every single day so that you had something to brush your teeth with. But just be cognizant that you cannot drink the tap water and know that you should have bottled water on you at all times. Next, if you are somebody that has sensitive skin like me, then you may want to invest in a shower filter. So I read about this prior to leaving and I just decided, I didn't need it. But actually, believe it or not, my skin really did break out even just from the showers there. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't itchy or anything, but I did have this bumpy rash on me throughout the duration of my time there. So if you're somebody that has sensitive skin, definitely just invest in a small shower filter that you can quickly screw on at your accommodations to make sure that it takes out some of the funky stuff in the water and keep your skin clear. I actually noticed that I started breaking out on my face first, and then I switched over to washing my face with bottled water and it went away immediately. Obviously, that's excessive for a shower, so I would definitely just invest in a shower filter. Again, they are super, super affordable. The one that was recommended to me is actually linked on my Amazon storefront, so you can just go check that out. The link is in the description box. And like anywhere else, you do have to be careful where you eat, so make sure you're checking reviews for any of the restaurants that you're wanting to stop at. I was warned that it's super easy to get sick prior to going over there, and in order to prep my stomach for the new bacteria that I was going to be coming into contact with, I started taking probiotics 2 weeks prior to going to Bali, and I continued to take them while I was there throughout the duration of my trip. I will say I had absolutely zero stomach problems while I was there. Like I said, we were there with about 19 people, and I want to say 8 of the people ended up getting sick at some point. I feel like that was a great preventative measure for me. Again, do with that information what you will, but it personally worked for me. So anytime I'm going back over there, I will be sure to take probiotics first again. Now let's quickly touch base on tour directors. So on this particular trip, I had a full-time tour director, Booty, and a full-time local guide named Suan, which was a little bit different. Typically, we have local guides in each new place, but Suan was with us for the entirety of the trip. I have to say they truly made my experience. The Balinese people in general are just the most gracious, kind, sweet, and thankful people. Everyone we came into contact with was so thankful that we just came to their town and their city and just really got to experience the authentic Balinese culture. And Suan and Booty were no different to that. I am so excited, honestly, to go back and be able to visit them. They were incredibly supportive. They came up with the best recommendations, not only for restaurants, but optional excursions. And it was just an overall amazing time. And if you are lucky enough to have the both of them, or even just one of them on your Bali Tropical Escape Tour, count yourself lucky because they are wonderful. That is all for this particular video, but let me know down below if you have any further questions about the Bali Tropical Escape Tour. I will be happy to answer them for you. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, I have been on multiple EF Ultimate Break tours. I've done Ultimate Europe, the Grand Tour of Ireland, Greek Islands, obviously Bali, and Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. So if you're interested in hearing more about any of those, just let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!